Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's, took it to my stash spot, 560 State.
88.5 WQOX, it is Brother John, your brother from another mother like no other. And I'm interrupting regular scheduled programming because, ladies and gentlemen, we have an educator in the building. Now, when I say educator, you know, I haven't had a teacher on, I haven't had a principal on, I haven't had a teacher assistant principal, ILD, y'all know all the different titles. But I've been wanting to have this educator on for the longest. And the reason being is because every time I see this educator, she's always about the work. She's always encouraging, empowering, or saying a good word. She said good words to me back some years back in passing. And she was always the same, on the same level of never trying to be better than, bigger than. She was always like a good person. And so the moons aligned just right. And today I have her on here, ladies and gentlemen. Her name is Dr. Tishsha Hopson, and she's reigning from out of Hickory Ridge Middle School, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so welcome to 88.5, Dr. Hopson.
Hello, how are you? It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, well, you know, it's a serious time in our district. It's also TCAP time in our district, testing, EOCR. Y'all know we in testing period, but I felt it was only right to have you to come on because, ladies and gentlemen, I got to say this too. She's a 20-plus year veteran, you know, because, you know, some people, oh, they only been teaching for 5 years. They don't know nothing. But 20 years is a long time. 20-plus years is a long time. And I'll just come straight out the gate and say, how are teachers doing from your vantage point? Like, how? Because, you know, I hear teachers say that, you know, we know they go through a lot. I already say teachers are the backbone of the school district. Teachers show up, rain, sleet, snow, hurricane, tornadoes, they there. But I think a lot of teachers don't get a lot of credit. I think we can always find ways to talk to teachers and let them share stories and share how they got to where they are, like we're going to do with you today, because I got a feeling after this interview I'm going to have to talk to a lot of more teachers, and you're breaking the mold. But how right now, how are our teachers, because this seems like it's a lot going on.
It is a lot going on, but I can truly say from an empowerment point, our teachers are hanging in there. It's time for them to refuel their purpose. It's time for them to regain their passion because our students need them. However, on a transparency mode, our teachers, we have to pull in that self-care piece. Teachers are experiencing burnout, overload. Sometimes they feel like their voices aren't being heard. And then we have another set of teachers, such as myself, that have been in it for a while, and we have to really work together. We have to work together, go in and have those hard conversations, mentor with each other, pull each other to the side, and just really have empathy for each other. Some of our new teachers coming in, they may have a lack of support, and it's rigorous. It's a rigorous thing, and you really have to be able to do not only the hard work, but the heart work. This is not one of those professions where we say, hey, oh, that's a nice salary, I'm going to just jump in there, quit my other job. You really have to go in with the passion and the purpose for our students because they need us. They're in our buildings sometimes more than 8 hours a day. And they need to, exactly, so they need to have that positive role model, not only just from the female teachers, but from the male teachers as well. So in order for us to empower them, we have to stay empowered ourselves.
And I'm glad you said that, because that brings to mind, what is it, SEL, social emotional learning for the students. But I'm thinking it may need to be like a leadership emotional learn or something for teachers, because I'm sure teachers have a lot going on when they leave the school buildings that they don't get a chance to talk about or, you know, share in an open discussion the stuff that they go through. So then imagine if we say our students are going through something, we can't just say, well, oh, our teachers have perfect lives when they leave a school building. but then they got to come back and teach.
True.
And we don't know if they taking care of a sick elderly person or some of their family members. You know, they may have some of their children staying with them, or I mean, you know, it can be out there. But to come in and teach every single day, in spite of what they got going on, I commend all our teachers.
Thank you so much.
Because I think we need to shout out and lift up our teachers more. And I think from this interview today, I think that's one of my purposes that I'm going to do.
And you know what? I'm really proud of our teachers because some of them are really hanging in there.
That's right.
They're reaching out to other colleagues as best as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may feel like they're not prepared for the profession. But I will say, to go back to speaking to the social-emotional learning, our district has done a really good job trying to craft lessons. And in those lessons, it really gives us an opportunity as a teacher to reflect on our practice, to have empathy for our students. And I know for me, I have 2 children myself, so they have caused me to evolve. And a lot of times we want to utilize practices that we've done back in the day, but we can't for our students now. We have to go in with a mind rejuvenated every day.
Every day.
Every day.
No matter, that's what I mean, no matter what you got going on.
And you sometimes take it home with you, but you have to find that balance in between. You have to find that balance, because if you're not refreshed and rejuvenated and empowered, when you go in the next day, those students are going to be able to sense that from you. And we don't know what they're going through at home. We hear it. Sometimes our students come to school, they're crying, they're facing certain difficulties, and we may not can discern what's going on with them. So we have to really go in, and it's hard sometimes. So I would say, not only for myself and for my colleagues, that you have to have your own support system. And sometimes, even if that support system is not there, you have to do something yourself, whether it's when the weekend comes, when that Friday comes, treat yourself. You know, you may have to go and get that self-care in to reboot for that next Monday. And we have to be there. Self-care has helped me totally. And I've had to get to that place over the years. I've had to evolve because I put my best and I put everything in what I do. But you have to get at a point again where you have a balance. You have to balance and say, hey, this is what I'm going to focus on, and go back to those priorities. Have to go back to the priorities and look at that student as if that student was your child. Because that's the most important piece. And if it's at a point where you're going to be so frustrated when you come to work and you take it out on those kids, then you have to go back and do a self-reflection. Because a lot is going on, from teachers with salaries, from the curriculum with a lot of things changing, their own personal lives. This is a job where you wear multiple hats. It's a profession. It's a lifelong profession. Because when you go home, you take those kids sometimes home with you and their issues and their emotions, and then you have to come back and reboot and figure out a way that, hey, let me figure out how I'm going to do blended learning. Let me figure out how I'm going to prepare them for the 10 ready. Because at the end of the day, it boils down to that. But past the numbers, we want to make sure that our students are equipped and prepared to be successful in learning leadership in life. So it's going to come back to us.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you see why I had the spirit said to have her on. Now, I didn't know she was coming like this, but this is why I want to talk to various educators. So educators, whether you're a teacher, principal, assistant principal, ILD, teacher assistant, if you're in the education profession, Brother John is going to be reaching out, because I think what you're starting, or what we're starting here, is to give those teachers a voice and those educators a voice, because I'm tired of people saying, well, teachers are just, they just need to teach. But like you said, yeah, we teach, but we the auntie, we the mama, you know, we are the disciplinary, you know, we the cook sometimes, we buying snacks, we buying different utensils for our children. So it's like saying a teacher in 2023, that seemed like that's a whole like wide world of different things that fall under a teacher.
It is. I was just telling someone recently, I feel like I teach 7 days a week.
Wow.
And you have to look at it like that, because when you prepare for one day, you have to go in the next day. And sometimes, even when I get to school, my day doesn't start with teaching. I may have to counsel a student to get their mind equipped to even go to start the day. Because they come in, 7:15, bam. They may have lost a loved one. They may have to babysit their sibling, or they didn't have a good night's sleep the previous night. So just trying to go in and motivate them, you have to reach into whatever, you do, the greater powers that be. For me, it's prayer.
Right.
I have to have a support system. And then it's also important for us to make sure that we have a system of supportive and yet someone that will hold us accountable. Because accountability is key.
Some people don't want to be told, hey, your classroom management may not be on point, because as soon as you say something, we get defensive.
That is true, but that's what's going to help us be better. We have to have people in our corner, even if it's the school leader. And true enough, we want to own our classrooms. We want
that's
to
my
own
territory
this
now.
Exactly. But we need that growth. That's what professional growth is about. That's how you're going to be an effective teacher. And an effective teacher is more than just we pass the test.
Right.
We have to make sure that we utilize some of those other strategies that we have to make sure our students are good, that our colleague is good. Sometimes we want to not share our best practices with each other.
Right.
If you've done it, the saying, don't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
It's okay to share it.
It's okay.
It's okay to share.
Okay.
We're in this together. We want to finish strong, but we're stronger together.
Y'all don't see no notes in front of you. See, all this coming straight out of the heart. This is not we didn't rehearse the script before that, and I just appreciate the information that you're sharing, because I'm sure it's helping somebody right now. Now I want to turn to the superintendent situation.
Okay.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not about to sit up here and say who she thinks should get it and all that. So all the folks, ILDs and all you folks that's listening, it's not about that. But I'm going to ask every educator that comes up in here until we find a superintendent, what, from your teaching standpoint, as an educator in the teaching field, what would you like to see in a superintendent for Memphis Shelby County Schools?
I would say this. I've had the privilege, and I'm not honking my own horn here, to be able to sit in a lot of different focus groups across the state and other states, to actually engage in their process. And I've also had the opportunity to sit in a variety of different shoes. So to be a teacher, you wear multiple hats.
Right.
So I believe that our next superintendent should really value teacher voice. The visibility is important, because it's one thing to just talk it, but we're moving past the talk stages. We want to see it. We want to hear it. We want to feel it. We want someone who really takes in mind our priorities and really looking at, hey, we say this is working, but it's really not working. We have this curriculum in place.
That's accountability again. That's that word, accountability.
It is accountability. Right. And not only just, we take our surveys, but we really want to see that impact is being heard and it's put into action for us.
Because I'm sure y'all, as teachers, y'all get a lot of different surveys to fill out, and what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it seems like if people put answers on some of these surveys and you see these answers start to come to fruition, it's like, oh, they listened, they heard me. And even starting in your own school building. Like, I had a problem with this, but they fixed it, they addressed it. Oh, now that gets me to buy in more, it seems.
And I think that we're going in the right path. I believe that we're going in the right path, and our voices are beginning to be heard. Whether it's coming from the cleanliness of the schools, where it's coming from the cafeteria food.
Okay.
We're taking a turn for the better, and that's what we want to see. But most importantly, again, teacher voice is being heard. Hey, let me just come in. What do you feel about this? That decision-making process is key, because sometimes we get the decisions and we don't really get the input and see the effect of what those decisions, the turnout of it.
Right. And I was recently at 3, I think it's called DTAC. There's DTAC meetings, and I heard some candid answers from some teachers, right? And the superintendent there was there, the cabinet was there. And the thing that really touched me, it just showed me teachers all over the district, they all got something going on. I didn't hear not there wasn't no complaining, but it was like, hey, when I get off school, I got a job on the weekend and I have another job on after school. And I was like, but you're a teacher. You know, I'm thinking a teacher's job should be enough thinking. But when I heard her say it with passion, it's like, what if it's other teachers like her across the district? So that made me open my eyes to our teachers really do have a lot going on.
And our teachers do. They, again, wear multiple hats, and sometimes they are not at a point of transparency and their trust factor to really be able to share how they feel, what's going on, their emotions, and what they want to see.
Right.
So our next superintendent, I believe, should really just have a heart for this body of work, should lead with empathy. And I think that we're going in those right steps, and to really just putting their foot forward in the schools and having a team that's on the same page.
So you saying it could be some instances, and you've been around different school districts, different situations, you could have the leader thinking one way and the people around them, it's not succinct.
Of course, that's the nature of the beast. I believe that happens in any district, not just our district. It happens, period. But at the end of the day, it's what matters best for our students, and not only for our students, our teachers, and our school leaders. So not just focusing on one goal, the superintendent's goal, but overall for our district. And it's going back to our vision and our mission. We have to have steps in place for that, and it's okay if we have to tweak some things. So that visibility is key. I think you don't know. You've heard the saying, we don't care how much you know until we know how much you care.
That's right.
It's one of those types of situations. And you can see it, you can feel it, you know it.
Oh yeah, teachers know. Look, y'all can tell if somebody faking the funk, if somebody just here to take pictures. Y'all method of discernment, I mean, that ranks up there with Big Mama and them, because you all know if somebody just, you know, is blowing smoke in your face.
And when you've been in the work, you can't lose sight of that. And when I say been in the work, you actually can sense how a teacher feels. You know the pressure. You know when it's time to pull back, if this is necessary. Because sometimes teachers feel like this is just a checklist. Or we're going through a what we call dog and pony show. But you have a lot of teachers that are really still passionate about what they do. And they come to work every day with their best foot forward.
Yes, ma'am.
I see it. We have a lot of effective teachers in place, but we want to make sure that our teachers are being taken care of and their voices are heard, even in this next stage of input of advocacy. Whichever way it goes, whatever decision is being made, that we have a voice in that.
Good. And I want to talk about assistant principals and the principal's voice, right? Yes, we love our teachers, ladies and gentlemen, but you know, in a school building, the principal is like the CEO, if we're looking at it like a business, right? And you've been on both sides,
That's
right?
correct.
How was it to go from teacher to the principal's position and now to transform back to a teacher situation? It seemed like you had to go through some things, or you've been through some things, because that seemed like a big adjustment.
I'm going to be honest with you. It has actually helped me to evolve. Because the practices that we did back in the day, it served a good foundation, but it's time to readjust from those old practices. And sometimes us as teachers really don't understand the load that school leaders have.
Okay, gotcha.
They are making sure that they are trying to go by those strategic priorities and make sure that they're raising the needle. And sometimes we want to make sure, even as school leaders, that we are leading with that same empathy, that we make sure that we're walking in the shoes of a teacher. But you can hear a lot of pushback, you can hear a lot of teachers complaining, but that school leader is in place to make sure that those policies are in place, that the students are safe as possible. They have that vision and that roadmap So if they say that, hey, this is the flow, these are the goals, these are the steps, we want to make sure that we're on team with those school leaders, because they have a powers that be too that they have to answer to. They have strategic evaluations and things, and our leaders are doing the best that they can do.
Right.
Sometimes they have burnout, and they may be at a point where their trust factor may not be there, because they want to make sure that their teachers are in place, going back to student attendance, but teacher attendance, and making sure that we
think about.
Exactly, making sure that we have someone in that classroom to be able to welcome our students when they come in. So they have a lot of load on themselves, and they're doing the best that they can do as well to make sure that they carry that load, because they're the face, that they're going to be held accountable. That teacher may not be held accountable,
Oh, that's for
but it's
sure.
going to go back to their school leader.
And it seems like the principal gets sometimes the short end of the stick, because they may not be in the classroom, sort of say, but like you said, they have a whole different set of rules and stuff that they have to go by, just like teachers have stuff to go by.
That is so cool.
And I want to make sure I'm shouting out our principals and assistant principals. We know it's tough for you all too. But I know we put a lot of emphasis on the students, which we should. But right now we're talking about teachers, and that's why I don't want to say lessen like the load that principals are not important. Very important.
They are.
And I'm sure, and that's why I want to have some principals on as well. But to have you, who has been a principal, assistant principal, and a teacher, I want to take advantage of this moment, because it seems like you have to go through so much in the transformation back to the classroom. How has that been, and how did you get through that process? Because you know how it is, if you've been a principal or assistant principal, and then you want to go to the classroom, some people that's like a shot to the chest. Like, what? I've been a principal, I've been assistant principal, but I love this work. I want to go back in the classroom, or I want to help. How was it for you?
At the end of the day, an educator is an educator.
Oh, say that. Hold up, Ted. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard.
She got to say it again. Say it again. Say it
An
again.
educator is an educator. So you have to put all titles aside.
Right.
And
right.
I had to get over myself, because I'm like, I'm going back to a teacher. What are my colleagues going to think? But that's actually where the work is. It actually gave me an opportunity to redefine myself, to really understand where my students are coming from. Because
Right.
sometimes when you get in different positions, you can lose perspective of that. But on the same token, it gave me a sense of going in with a different lens.
Right.
And so I know the work that's ahead of me. It helps give me a level of respect for my school leader, and being a team player, being collaborative, because I know the work that they have to do. I know what that looks like. So coming back as a teacher, and it also gives me a reframe for my students. Being that role model. You can be if you're going to be a role model, a positive role model, it doesn't matter if you're a school leader or a teacher or a superintendent. You're going to be a positive role model and an educator for our students. And also at the same token, it gives me an opportunity to empower my colleagues. Sometimes you can get so high that your hands are in different places, but when you're right there in the thick of it, you have an opportunity to be a positive impact that can be a ripple effect for someone else.
That's real. I'm glad you said that, because when I was a teacher, and I was in the classroom for about a year, about a year, and I would love to be back in the classroom, right? Because like you said, you right there, it's like you on the ground floor, and you can shape minds. You have influence.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And if that's coupled with an experienced teacher or someone who loves them and wants to see them grow, ain't nothing like that.
And as we're talking now, I'm kind of tearing up, because being back as a classroom teacher and working with the students that I work with now, I just see the light in those kids when they come in.
Right.
I see the light on them. And
Right.
it has really forced me to want to learn more. It has pushed me a little bit to say, hey, I have to work a little bit more harder for my students,
Right.
because these are our future leaders.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter about the title. And once you get over yourself,
see, that's it. Yes.
get over yourself.
Forget the title. Put the title away. Right.
And focus on those kids. Education is one of the best gifts is being an educator. I'm not knocking any other profession. But if you can go in and be an effective teacher, that's your impact and your legacy right there. Because I see some of my students that I've taught even from elementary school, and they'll come back, and I'm proud of them because they're now teachers.
Right.
And some of them have even came in the paths of Hickory Ridge Middle School.
What?
And they say, are you? I had a different name back then.
Right.
So they have told me how I inspired them.
Wow. Ain't that... I know that make you feel good when you see that.
It does.
And money can't buy that.
And that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's priceless. So if, as educators, if we could hold on to that, this is not, again, one of those professions you just come in and get a quick check because they probably can't even pay us enough, right?
Right. Y'all, every penny y'all get is well worth it and more. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, look, when you see a teacher, thank them. If you know next time you pick up your child or you're in the school building, you see a child, just say thank you. That's it.
Small things. Thank you. Recognition.
Yes, because I know he a handful at home. I know he's a handful at school, but those little gestures, it means a lot.
And I'm going to tell you something. You have to go in there every day with a forgiving and loving heart. Because our students now, they may sometimes make you feel a certain kind of way.
Yes.
Or they make you feel disrespected. But you have to remember to go in with love.
Right.
You have to go in with love. You have to have some temperance some days.
Uh-oh. Yes, ma'am.
And remember that this is still someone else's child.
Yes, ma'am. That's
you know, the days of corporal punishment is gone.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we have to find different strategies and motivate our kids just like we want to be motivated.
You speak facts. So before we get out of here, I want you what would you say to a new teacher? Say if it's some new teachers listening or people thinking about joining the profession of being a teacher, what would you say to them?
I would encourage all professionals that are interested in coming in this field, especially new teachers, to not give up. Do not give up. Throw in the towel. When it's time for you feel you need to take a break, take a break. But get a support system in place. Someone that you can trust. Someone that you can be transparent with and really share your emotions. And someone who's a cheerleader for you, because that cheerleader is going to help be that person to empower you, inspire you, to be transparent with you. And you want somebody to give you a little pushback, someone that's going to hold you accountable and give that candid time. Time is of the essence.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes as new teachers, they feel like they don't have the support, the preparation, someone that may listen. But I would encourage every new teacher, it's going to be the best decision that you can make. Hang in there. The best decision you can, even in times where you feel like, why did I sign up for this? You did sign up for it because you're the best person for it.
That's right. You heard that. Y'all, I hope y'all paying attention. And if you know somebody that's thinking about being a teacher, go ahead and play this back because it's being recorded. It's on my Facebook page so that you can share this, because the jewels that she's dropping is one of the reasons why I wanted her up here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not having her up here just to be up here, but she's a 20-plus year veteran, went from teacher to assistant principal, and she's back in the classroom, but she gave you her reasons, her why. And I think a lot of people, we was on a bus tour. We took some people from central office, from HR, family community engagement, over here, I think IT, and we went to the communities, right? And talking to everyday people about education is real, because they will say, yeah, my child go to this school, but they need to do this, and you got to be able to take that and still, hey, look, we trying to, get ready for next year. And what I've learned from being in the community, and we was doing some social media school takeovers, I'm watching children with smiles on their face, just a smile on you. We don't know what they going through, but we show up, we had some balloons, we had some games, and when I tell you, they was very touched by that, and I'm looking at us like, we grown folks,
I
and I don't see us smile like that. So I'm like, it's something about our babies, and like you said, that smile, and when you see them coming in the door, they may not be smiling, and you have to know, and the discernment, okay, come on over here and talk to me for a minute.
Correct.
And this before the work take place in school.
That's correct. Even if it's on the lunch period, you might have to just pull them to the side and talk to them. Put your lunch to the side for a moment and have time out with those kids, because it's not just going in the classroom or leave at 3:30 or 2:15. You have to put that time in. And the kids know. They know who care.
Yes, ma'am.
They know who cares, and they know who's there just to do a job.
Wow.
And it may take a little bit of extra effort, but in the long run, you will have your sense of fulfillment and feeling your purpose for why you even came to this, because sometimes we can lose sight of that.
That's right.
Why you got in the field of education.
Right.
And it's that love of learning.
Everybody that works in central office should spend at least 1 hour in the classroom or just at a school. I wish that could happen, because you'll see from a different standpoint. Because sitting in the office, yeah, and getting a nice paycheck, that's good, fine. Nobody hating on your doctor degrees and all that. But when you see those children, I saw a young lady in a wheelchair, and we played some line dance music, and I'm watching her in a wheelchair do the Cupid shuffle. Now think about that. I'm like, now, in the smile on her face, I said, yeah, some of our colleagues that's been used to being in the office, y'all may need to come out sometimes and see that, because I think it'll be a different look and they'll have a different perspective the next time when it comes time to decide on what we need to do for our schools.
And sometimes we have to just relate to our students.
Right.
Not lose standpoint of who we are as educators,
Right.
but relate to our kids. We're human. They're human.
They're human.
We understand where you
Right.
guys are now, because we have a different culture, a generation of kids than when we grew up.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to take it back to that old proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
Literally.
And bring that back into perspective.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is there anything you want to say, anybody you want to shout out before we get out of here? Because I got to mention, she works at a school that was a level 1, and then it jumped to a level...
We went to a level 5.
In one, 2 years? How long did it take?
1 year.
In 1 year, level 1 to level 5. So that's a whole nother conversation, but congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
And also, ladies, see, y'all like, John, you're not going to mention it? Yeah, of course I'm going to mention it. She is one of the finalists for Teacher of the Year. There was 3 of them, Mr. Denton and Mr. Liddell, I believe, and Dr. Hopson were recognized at the state of the district by the whole board, superintendent, everybody. And it's still in the process, right?
That is correct.
When did they give you all a timeline?
I'm not sure on that just yet.
Okay.
We're patiently waiting.
Yes.
And we're continuing to do the hard work.
Right.
But I want to say shout out to all my colleagues, because all of us are winners.
That's right. Look,
All
y'all
of
hear
us
that?
are winners.
You hear that? You're all winners, teachers. But it must feel nice sometimes to be recognized. 'Cause I remember Miss Melissa Collins was the last year, was it a couple years ago?
And she's doing a great body of work now. She's actually a representative for the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
So shout out Dr. Melissa Collins.
Dr. Collins, what's up? What's up? Well, last question, because it just popped in my head. What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be empowerment. Being able to lift someone up, to help them transform into their purpose. Because everyone here, no matter what you're doing, whether it's the custodial staff, to the cafeteria worker, to the school leader, to the student or the teacher, we're here for a purpose.
Got you.
And what we do is going to set the tone for our next future leaders.
And on that note, thank you, Dr. Hopson.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You done gave us something that we need to go back and study. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be I might have to put this on our website as well, because she said some uplifting words, some empowering words that all teachers and all people in the education field need to hear, and she was very passionate about it. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Y'all finish up TCAP and finish strong, and hopefully we can get you back here, because I want to also have a panel discussion on about education and teaching in 2023, because like you said, the children are not the same like it was back in the day. So
it's true. And I want to say to any student that's listening, miss school and miss out. So we need you here. Get rested over the weekend and make sure you're prepared for next week, because we're going to finish strong.
There you have it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tishsha Hopson in the building with Brother John as we talk about educators. All right, educators. Now I'm gonna have to start. I don't know if I should take requests from teachers to see who should be next, because I know everybody want to come on and say something, and I think we have the capacity to bring on as many as possible. But listen, now you're not coming up here to complain. Now we're not coming up here to complain. We coming up in here to help lift the profession, male, women, black, white, whatever your status. I want you up here, but we're passing the complaining. We want to get some solutions, and we want to get some words of encouragement to help lift our educators, because if we lift our educators, we lift our students, and if we lift our students, we lift our district. Yes. All right? Y'all keep it locked. 88.5, I am Brother John. Thank you, Kavan J, for holding us down. Let's get into Bag Lady by Erykah Badu on the only station you and your family can agree on. We are 88.5 FM.